Good afternoon from Jerusalem, everybody. Those who don't know me, my name is Shilo Plesser, live in Jerusalem. And I Samantha, if you can, because we have a limited time, so I prepared this more as a frontal lecture, but I'd like to, if people have some question during the class, so maybe they can write down the question on the chat, and at the end, 5 minutes or so, I'll try to catch some and answer. Okay? Yes?
Yeah, that's good.
Perfect. So I was originally planning something else about Yom Haasmaut, but on Friday, I understood that the class is dedicated to the memory of Stanley Chera, so I made a little bit of change. And since I know that Stanley, his Hebrew name is Shlomo, I wanted to connect between Yom Haasmaut and Shlomo. So the class will be Leilui Nishmato, and maybe we'll add some aspect of his personality, which is connected to the historic Shlomo, King Solomon from the Bible. As we know, the largest builder, developer in the biblical time, for sure, there's no doubt, was Shlomo HaMelech, and his famous project was Bet HaMikdash, the temple. So I'd like to focus our class on the project of building Bet HaMikdash, and to narrow it down, not the building process, but the person who built Bet HaMikdash. And I'd like to start with a few questions, and the criteria, if the class is successful or not, that in 28 minutes, if you can answer very clear the 4 or 5 questions that we will bring up now. The first question is famous question: why didn't King David HaMelech, build Bet HaMikdash? Although we know he was planning to do that, he made a lot of preparations, and he started even some active steps towards the building itself, but for some reason it didn't happen. Who completed the project, as we know, was his son King Solomon. So why didn't David succeed, and what in what aspect Shlomo is better than his father? Was it because King David wasn't tzaddik enough, wasn't pure enough, wasn't ethical enough? What is the reason? Why is his son better than him? This is the main discussion I'd like to deal with, and I think we'll at the end of the class have some new understanding of this issue. I'll try to share with you the screen, and during the class we'll look mainly in 2 different places in the Bible, in Divrei Yamim, in Chronicles, what you call Divrei Yamim Aleph, chapter 22. You should see it now in the, you see it?
We see it, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And on the other one will be Shmuel Bet, Perek Zayin and Perek Chet. These are the main 2 sources we are going to deal with. So let's start from the end in reverse. If I ask now in the chat, Samantha, you can check it. If I ask the people, and especially people who know the Bible and know the history, why didn't King David build Bet HaMikdash, we'll get 100%, 99% of the question will be based on what is written in Divrei Hayamim. And what is written there, you can look on Pasuk Zayin. I'll try to mark it. How do I, like that? You see Pasuk Zayin?
We see it.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So make the long story short. This is when King David is talking to his son. Let's start from Pasuk from 6, from Pasuk Vav. Vayikra li Shlomo beno, and you can see the translation on the right side. ויצווהו לבנות בית לאדוני אלוהי ישראל. ויאמר דוד לשלמה, בני, אני היה עם לבבי לבנות בית לשם אדוני אלוהי, ויהי עלי דבר אדוני לאמור, דם לרוב שפכת, ומלחמות גדולות עשית, לא תבנה בית לשמי, כי דמים רבים שפכת ארצה לפניי. So most of the people say King David couldn't build Bet HaMikdash according to his own witnessing. He says that because he killed so many people, God told him, you are not qualified, you're unfit, you're disqualified from this holy project because you killed too many people and you have blood on your hand. So I would like to start with refute this opinion, this explanation, and maybe I'll add that the people who answer, as we answered right now, that King David killed a lot of people, they bring kind of an evidence besides of his own speech to his son from the book of, let's see if we can see it, share in, yeah. You see now it's a Sefer Shmot, yeah, the last two psukim, 21, 22. You see it?
Samantha? We see it, yeah. We see it.
ואם מזבח אבנים תעשה לי, לא תבנה אתן גזית, כי חרבך הנפת עליה ותחלליה. So if you build an altar of stone, you cannot do it with iron. Why? Because Chachamim said that the Mizbeach is his whole purpose is to extend to our life, and the iron is extremely opposite, is shortening the person's life. So that's why in the process of building an altar Mizbeach, we do it without iron. So people say we have also an evidence, or we can strengthen the reason why King David couldn't build Bet HaMikdash, because if you are not allowed to build a Mizbeach with iron because the iron is shortening, people's life, so al achat kama vechama, kal vachomer, that King David that killed hundreds, tens or hundreds of thousands, depends on which wars you count, he wasn't qualified to build Bet HaMikdash by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So I would say the following: this is nice drasha, but this drasha is, can fit a temple of liberal people, maybe pacifists, but I would like to disagree and kind of break this way of thinking from the root, and build another understanding from scratch, for two main reasons. The first one is realistic. We know that although King David did not build Bet HaMikdash, yes, he built Mizbeach. We know that at the end of Sefer Shmuel, this is not here, but you can open later in Shmuel Bet, chapter 24, the last chapter, actually the last few psukim at the book of Shmuel, we know that King David purchased Goren Aravna, which is the place of the Bet HaMikdash, and what he built there? He built there for sure Mizbeach. He built an altar. So you cannot say that he wasn't qualified to build Bet HaMikdash while he was building Mizbeach, because the original reason started from the Mizbeach. You are not allowed to build Mizbeach with iron because of the reason that we just mentioned. So it doesn't make sense to say, yes, he could build the Mizbeach, but not to build the temple. So this is first just a realistic reason and realistic proof that this is a mistake to claim what we claimed before. But this is only the minor reason. I would like to focus on the main reason why I disagree with that. And the main reason is that you can claim this kind of explanation on the level of the individual. You can say a person, individual, who has blood on his hands, who is a killer, who is a murderer, so for sure he cannot do anything that related to Kedusha, to the Mikdash, to the temple. Actually, he shouldn't be free and walking in the streets at all. Forget about building an altar or building the temple. This is not a question. But we have to understand that there is a huge gap between individual and a king. What is the main mission of a king? To protect his nation. How do you protect your people? How do you protect your country? How do you protect your state, if not by fighting the enemies? So fighting the enemy is maybe the first responsibility and the most important responsibility of a king to his people, to his nation, to his country. So to say that because he did it on a good way, he is unfit to, it's inappropriate for him to build a temple, it doesn't make sense. It actually conflicts and contradicts the whole philosophy of the Bible. It's like the people claim against the chief of staff of IDF and, you know, ministers and prime minister of Israel, you are terrorists because of what you are doing. So that's why we cannot accept the explanation, the opinion above, and we have to find out a new reason that makes more sense, that can fit the biblical environment, that can fit the biblical scales of value, which this is not one of them. We know that we have in our Jewish ethics, Haba le'ogecha, hashkem le'argo. If someone is coming to kill you, you don't have to wait till he is, you know, stabbing you with the knife. You should do it one step ahead, in advance, before. That means hashkem le'argo. You should wake up earlier than him. So after totally refute what we explained before, let's try and look for another reason. So let's go back to the Sefer Shmuel, the book of Shmuel, and let's see if you have it. Shmuel here. Okay, you have it, Shmuel Bet?
Have it, yes.
Okay. So let's read it slowly and try to understand what we can see here. Just the history of the previous chapter is that King David is bringing up the Aron with the Luchot to Jerusalem. But at that time we have the Aron, but we don't have a building, we don't have the Mikdash. Okay? So ויהי כי ישב המלך בביתו, ואדוני הניח לו מסביב מכל אויביו. This is פסוק א' 1. ויאמר המלך אל נתן הנביא, ראה נא אנוכי יושב בבית ארזים, וארון האלוהים יושב בתוך העירייה. What we can see here, that King David he wants to build a house. Yeah. What is the reason? The reason mentioned here in Pasuk Bet, that he feels uncomfortable that he is sitting in a cedar palace and Aaron Elohim is sitting in a tiny tent. So King David says it doesn't make sense that I'm sitting in a palace and the Aaron should sit in much nicer palace than me. So that's his philosophy, and he's going to the prophet at that time, Natan. ויאמר, פסוק ג', ויאמר נתן אל המלך, כל אשר בלבבך לך עשה כי אדוני עמך. So we can see that the prophet agreed with him. Yes, you have nice intentions. Go for that. Did anyone order or obligate David to do that? No, he did it from his free willing. No one forced him, no one asked him. He just felt like he felt inconvenienced while he is sitting in the palace and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if we can say that, sitting in the tent. Now, the next pasuk, it's something that I don't think there is another example in the whole Bible for that God is calling the prophet and tell him, you made a mistake. You have to change your mind. What you told King David, go for that? No, you cannot. ויהי בלילה ההוא, ויהי דבר אדוני אל נתן לאמור. לך ואמרת אל עבדי אל דוד. כה אמר אדוני, האתה תבנה בית לשבטי? You are going to build a house for me? כי לא ישבתי בבית מיום העלותי את בני ישראל במצרים, ועד היום הזה. והיה מתהלך באוהל ובמשכן. For generations, for decades, maybe, we have to count, but hundreds of years, more than 400 years. God tell the prophet to tell King David, don't worry for me. I'm okay for a few hundred years sitting in a tent. It's not a problem. פסוק ז', 7. בכל אשר התהלכתי בכל בני ישראל, הדבר דיברתי את אחד שבטי ישראל, אשר ציוויתי לראות את עמי ישראל לאמור, למה לא בניתם לבית ארזים? Did I ever, tell anyone why didn't you build anything for me? פסוק ח'. Now, ואתה כה תאמר לעבדי דוד, כה אמר אדוני צבאות, אני לקחתיך מן הנווה מאחרתון, you was a shepherd, פסוק ט', והיה עמך, I was with you, and I destroyed your enemies, and I made you a big name. פסוק י', ושמתי מקום לעמי ישראל, ונטעתיו ושכן תחתיו, ולא ירגז עוד. So we have to wait till there is a peaceful place for my people that will be planted, and only then, the next pasuk, ולמן היום אשר ציוויתי שופטים על עמי ישראל, והניחותי לך מכל אויביך, והגיד לך אדוני, כי בית יעשה לך אדוני, כי ימלאו ימיך, ושכבת את אבותיך, והקימותי את זרעך אחריך, אשר יצא ממאיך, והכינותי את ממלכתו, הוא יבנה בית לשמי. So what HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells King David, and this is very, very interesting, there is no any negative reason because of what David did or what he didn't do. It's totally different reason. We can see here that King David is trying to do for God more than God is asking for himself. And logically, it sounds to David and to the prophet, okay, yes, we have to take care, for the conditions of God. But what happens immediately? HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells the prophet and the king, listen, you're confused. The main mission of the Israeli king is not to take care of God, is to take care of the people, of the nation. And because you still did not finish your mission to destroy their enemies and to settle the nation in peacefully and quietly. Don't think about taking care of me. So that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu was kind of shocked from the agreement of the prophet, and he stopped him immediately. And this is the message he's telling King David. So does Shlomo better than David or not? This is not a question. It's not about who is better, who is more holy, who is more pure. It's totally not a discussion. The discussion is different. King David wanted to take care of the temple before he finished his basic mission, which is building the infrastructure of the Israeli kingdom. And God explained him very clear that you are not going to build the temple before completing the infrastructure of the Israeli kingdom, talking financially, strategically, security, all the affairs that the nation needs before. And up until then, God tells him, I'll be staying in a tent. I have no problem. For many years, I'm still there. So don't confuse. So this is a huge lesson that God is giving King David. So if we are going back now to Divrei Hayamim, when King David tells his son, I was killing and God told me that my hands are full with blood, it doesn't mean that there is a conflict, contradiction between a king that is fighting the enemies to the kings that are building the temple. Just historically, what God explains that there is priority, and priority number one is to take care of the security and the safety and economy. This is number one. And before we complete it, we cannot go to the higher level, which is the temple. So we can learn from here that according to the biblical philosophy, the benefit of the people, the convenience of the people is kind of even more, but is first of all is a religion commitment, is a religious responsibility of the king, not less than building the temple, and more. You cannot go and jump to the next step and build a temple before you finish to take care of the people on the basic level of protecting the borders from the enemy. The Rambam is writing, when you go to the war, you have to forget about anything. You don't think about your family, don't think about anyone. So it's kind of the same that God tells King David, now you focus to build a nation. Next generation, which is your son, he is going to deal with the temple. So unlike or in oppose to many philosophies that think that taking care of the security of Israel, the welfare of Israel, the army, it doesn't contradict, it doesn't conflict any religion issue. The opposite. It is higher, it is in a higher level religiously from other things. So for sure, we are talking now, we are the evening of Yom Haasmaut, Yom HaZikaron. This is, I think we can learn from that kind of disagreement between the king, the prophet, and God. First of all, we refute totally the reasons that King David was a killer, and that's why he couldn't be. No, it's not about that. No, for killing, he got a lot of awards. This is not the problem. Now, people can ask, the beginning of the chapter is Pasuk Aleph, Vayehi ki yashav hamelech beveito ואדוני הניח לו מכל אויביו מסביב. So sounds like King David was in a quiet position. So why do you say, he still have wars to have? So if we jump to the next chapter, so you can see that the next eight, you see that right after that, ויהי אחרי כן, ויך דוד את פלישתים. He had a war with the Palestinians. Next, go to Pasuk Vav, Aram Damasek, and Aram, Moab, Bnei Ammon. So for sure, he did not complete the wars that he had at that time. So if you go back to the beginning, the questions that we have, why couldn't King David build the temple? And was his son Shlomo was better? The answer is King David couldn't build Beit HaMikdash, although he wanted and he was planning to, because God avoided him to do that, because God wanted first his children, which is us, to sit in a good, to have a settled life as a nation in their territory, and only after that to take care of the religious missions, which is Beit HaMikdash. So I'd like just to finish with what I started in. I was talking about the Stanley Chera. I knew him for many years, mainly by the kids, but I happened to meet with him a few times over the last few years. And I think that this philosophy, that the benefit and the convenience of the community, of the state of Israel, of the people of Israel, the philosophy is that this is a religious issue. I think it was one of his compasses that led him towards his life, for sure, his charity and his dedication to the people of Israel and state of Israel. You don't have, in order to be a holy person, you don't have to build Beit HaMikdash. You have to enable the conditions that can lead to that situation, that will be able to build Beit HaMikdash. I can tell you that the last few years we are now, going to celebrate the 72nd Independent Day, although we do it as in more privately, not big ceremonies. But for sure, over the last few years, the international situation of Israel has been upgraded dramatically, and part of that is because of the unreversedly support of the United States and the president. And I can tell you from the fraction knowledge that I have some speeches talking with Stanley that recognize Jerusalem as the capital and moving the embassy and cut the budget to UNRWA, which is the refugees, the so-called refugees, Palestinian Refugees Agency. All that and much more was done by him. And I think that while the history books of our time will be written, some nice papers should be dedicated to the humble but serious guy that has a very serious part in this upgrade of the state of Israel for its 72 birthday. So תהא נשמתו צרורה בצרור החיים, ושיהיה יום עצמאות שמח לכולם. And remember that taking care of the public, taking care of the nation, taking care of the state of Israel, taking care of the others is not less religious than building the temple.
Chazak, thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Eddie.
Zavaruch.
Oh.
Thank you.
You don't have to worry about
Thank
me.
you
You have to
very
worry
much.
about him.
No.
Thank
At
you.
the beginning,
Thank you.
I say
Thank you.
maybe
Thank you, Shilo.
maybe I can answer some questions, but time is over.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that I did it on time.
I am too. Habibi. Chag Sameach.
AB.
Chag Baruch, Shilo.